Hello and welcome players to another tutorial on Press Start to Draw. And today we're going to be drawing the biker Russ from Payday 2. Special thanks to Holy Chicken for recommending this awesome Payday character. Let's get started. We'll start off by making a small little triangle for his pants. Make the legs. Second, make the top line for the pants, which will also be an indication line for his belt. Then start making his jacket. Just the sleeves on the bottom. Now we're going to go ahead and start on his gun. First, make the stock of the weapon. Now around that, we're going to make a hand that's going to firmly grasp it. I use tiny segments for fingers. It's pretty simple to do, and while I'm doing this, I'm also making the trigger. Make sure the fingers all fit firmly on the trigger and on the stock as well. Now, as I am forming the arms, I'm also going to form the rest of the gun, starting off with the base. Now I'm going to go ahead and start out with two straight lines. You can use a ruler if necessary. Now I'm going to go ahead and make his other arm, which is going to be bending, holding on the barrel of the weapon. I'm using the technique as I did for the other hand, using tiny segments for fingers. This time they're going to be kind of bending outwards a little bit, holding onto the gun. We're going to make the wood part of the gun. After that's done, we're going to go ahead, use those straight lines we made before, and make the two barrels. One is going to be longer than the other. That will be the barrel where the bullets will come out of. Now we're going to go ahead and form his shoulders and pretty much the rest of the body. Now that we're done with that, go ahead and make a nice big circle for his head, and below, make a jaw jutting outwards. Make a center line going up, and make his circle nose. Make another center line, and there is where we're going to put his eyes, which are ovals, and go ahead and form his brow. We want a menacing look for this guy. Now we're going to go ahead and form the jaw, his lips, and also his teeth. As we're doing so, we're going to go ahead and make the decals as well. Make tiny little teeth in a smiling form. Here I'm darkening his eyes. And on the top, I'm making wrinkles on his forehead. He has quite a few wrinkles on his forehead, so make sure you're also capturing that because it does add in a lot of definition to his scowl. Now I'm making the decals, which are also surrounding the little tiny devil horns on his forehead. Make a nice, fleshy-like, messy little head for him. Add in some more tone and definition to his wrinkles. Now that we're done with the head, let's go ahead and make his necklace. Pretty simple, make a V-like shape, and go ahead and make the little cylinder, which is going to be a bullet, a shotgun shell, for his necklace. There's also another cylinder shape hanging off the shell as well, so that's not hard to make. Now that we're done with the head and the little bullet necklace, we also need to add in some other details as well, like the wrinkles on his pants. Now, if you've been with this channel, you know making wrinkles on clothing and pants or anything is actually necessary, especially if you're making a realistic drawing. Make sure that the wrinkles are actually accurate to what you're looking at, or you can use source material that is actually your real clothing. You can look at pants and look how the wrinkles and folds are actually working on a real material. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start making his chain. It's going to be in a loop and it'll connect to his belt and a little piece will hang off. It's just pretty simple. Make oval shapes. Make sure they have a circle in all of them, and make a little link for each one that connects, and just repeat the same process. Now I'm starting to form the little extra details on his shirt and his jacket, which are again going to be wrinkles. Make the zipper, which is pretty simple, just make little lines going upwards. Make sure you're keeping the proportions right as well. Don't want his arms to be too big or his jacket to be too bulky as well. He is a kind of bulky guy, but we want to make sure that the proportions are accurate to what we are getting from, whether it be the in-game screenshot or actually Ron Perlman himself. We want to get that same stature, that same broad muscle tone. We want to be as accurate as possible. Unless you're going for a little more cartoony style version of the Russ the Biker. Now that I am shaping his overall body, I'm going to do the same treatment for his fingers. Erase those little line segments I had before, and now I'm actually getting a realistic looking hand. Now, of course, we're not going to add any details like fingernails or hair on his knuckles, because that's not showing. These are going to be his gloves, which you'll see I will be demonstrating here. There's going to be a lot of leather wrinkles we're going to add as well, and we're going to add a little bit for his gloves. Go ahead and start making the little details on his gun. Not too much, but when I'm going to be coloring here, I do use the brown colored pencil to make some nice wood finishing on the wood segments of his shotgun. Now I'm going to go ahead and make the details of his jacket here, which consists of wrinkles and also some patches here and there. Pretty simple. Do the same treatment to his other arm as well. Add in some nice wrinkles, make sure that his jacket is looking really raggedy, looking really rough. Now when coloring, I use grays and darks and browns, of course, and I use a little bit more colorful options for his mask. I'm using the dark black for the chains, and I'm using a pearlescent type of blue for the pants and also a gray, so they get a different shade than the rest of the jacket, so it can stand out a little bit. Brown for the belt, and for the t-shirt I use a light gray, and for coloring and shading the wrinkles for anything, you want to use a darker shade of what you're using for the base tone. So for example, I'm using a light gray for the shirt, so then it will only make sense if I use a dark gray to shadow the wrinkles. And I did the same thing for the jacket. It is pretty self-explanatory, just repeat the same process. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to use a dark brown pencil for the wood finishing on his weapon. I'm using some dark grays to outline his weapon. Whenever you're coloring, you also want to do that, so make sure when you're going, if you want to color and you're coloring the picture, make sure that you're going back and darkening the lines that you want, and of course erasing the lines that you don't want. I colored his shotgun shell red, and for the cylinder piece in the top, I used a nice yellow. Of course, darken that right there, use some extra shading, and now for the mask, we're going to use red for his lips, and of course red for his clown nose and his devil horns. Make sure you're coloring in the lines as a coloring book, and don't be shy to actually use that as a little bit of practice. Now, I'm not going to use Sharpie because I do intend this for a little bit more of a realistic drawing, and I think using Sharpie to outline it will kind of lose a little bit of the immersion. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use a black or gray colored pencil and kind of just outline the teeth and the wrinkles of his mask. I'm also going to outline it as well. Make sure that there's a lot of unity and balance in this drawing when coloring, because you don't want too many lines to get too dark or too many lines not to be dark enough. Now for the decals on top, I use a violet blue actually, and a purple, little pink purple, to get that nice kind of melatonin purple for his decals. I used a light gray for the base tone of his mask, and I used a little peach color for his neck. Make sure you don't use too bright of a shade right here. We kind of want to use a pale color. Once that's done, guys, the final product is the badass biker himself from Payday 2, Rust. If there is any more Payday 2 or Payday 1 the heist characters you would want me to draw, be sure to recommend them in the comments section below. And be sure to subscribe, and be sure to like the video. Alright guys, well, that's it for me. Press Start to Draw is signing out.